Welcome to Entrepreneur Launchpad. As we introduced at the beginning of the meeting, the purpose of Entrepreneur Launchpad is to inspire, enable, and support aspiring entrepreneurs and existing business owners to create, operate, and grow sustainable, profitable, and successful small businesses, and provide opportunities for entrepreneurs to give back. Since this is your first time here at Entrepreneur Launchpad, I want to dig in a little bit to what we mean by this. It starts with the form of our meeting. The class that you've just been through is one of the key elements where we bring in successful entrepreneurs to give back, to help you understand things you need to know to grow your business and that are just good business ideas. Sometimes it's inspirational, sometimes it's hands-on, but it's always meant to support you as a business owner. Now we're starting another portion, which is the table breakouts. And you'll notice around you there's more than one table and they're different groups, and the meeting leader broke you out and help people figure out where they should go. You're here at the Introduction to Entrepreneur Launchpad, and I am so glad you are, because this is where, well, you find out what we do, and hopefully we get you started on a path that helps you feel comfortable and want to keep coming back. Because I've heard it said time and again by many people, the way to really get the most out of Entrepreneur Launchpad is keep coming back. So what do we do in these breakout tables? Well, after we do the introduction today, there's a few different things that we'll follow up with. One of them is we introduce you to the concept, the idea of canvas models. Now, there are multiple canvases out there. In Entrepreneur Launchpad, right now we're focusing on the Startup Business Blueprint Canvas, or Startup Blueprint Canvas, or the Blueprint. We'll shortcut it a lot of different ways. What's the purpose of a canvas? The general idea is that a canvas creates a shared language. It lets us all be on the same page and know what we're saying. I had a geometry teacher once explain that if we're going to have an argument, let's first define our terms. And after we've finished defining our terms, if we still have an argument, then we'll continue. But most of the time, if we're speaking the same language, we'll know what we're saying, and we'll be able to figure out and understand where each other's coming from. Also, one of the key elements of a canvas, a business development canvas, is that it addresses key issues in developing, in creating, in growing, like we said, create, operate, and grow a successful small business. As you'll be introduced to later, there's a lot of things that can create problems in businesses. There's a lot of reasons businesses fail. They boil down to a few. And a lot of it comes down to the simple idea of not knowing what you don't know. Now, I know it's a much maligned Bush-ism from a few years ago where he says, we have the known knowns, we have the known unknowns, and we have the unknown unknowns. But it's very true. When you're running a business, the things that can hurt you the most are the things you don't even know you don't know. That's one of the purposes of a good canvas. It's to help guide your thought, at least, to those things that you don't even know you were missing and that were not in your business idea. So we'll introduce you to a canvas and help you begin to process your business through this lens. Help you answer some of the key questions that really you're going to want to know if you're going to be successful, and help you take those steps that will increase your chances the most of being successful with your business. Then as you continue on and you start to implement these things, at other tables as we gather, you will be put together with other business owners in a sort of mastermind group. Now, it took me a long time to figure out what that really meant. Basically, a mastermind group, or what we do at these later tables, is just get business owners together, those of you who are at the meeting. You ask your question, and it's amazing how many times someone sitting there has gone through something similar. They faced a similar problem. They've looked at a similar opportunity. They can tell you what they did that worked. Sometimes they can only tell you what they did that didn't work, but at least it can guide your thinking either way as you're facing that challenge. So you know, these are things I should know as I look down this path. So we tell you this, and as I mentioned before, the key is to keep coming. Now, granted, the first time being here, this isn't the most fun you might ever have in 2 hours of your life. But I hope that we get you started and help you see that we're here to help you grow your business, help you improve what your business can do for you. Then, as you succeed, you can lead. That final phrase in the purpose of Entrepreneur Launchpad is to provide opportunities for successful entrepreneurs, as we truly hope you become, either become successful or become more successful, to be able to give back, to take a lead, to participate, to help others who are just starting in their businesses as they progress forward as well. It's how we keep going here. Now, that's the basic structure of what we do. Let's take a few minutes and dig in to one of the first things that we find a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with, and that is your elevator pitch. It's what we do at the beginning of the meeting. You introduce yourself. You've got 30 seconds. And why do we do that 30 seconds? Well, some people say it's about as long as you have in the elevator with somebody else. I personally say it's about all the longer you can get somebody to listen to you. The average attention span in America has become so short that if you can keep someone's attention for 30 seconds and draw them in, you've accomplished something. If you keep going much past that 30 seconds, you probably lose them somewhere. They're going to be back off in their world. You know, it's kind of the idea of when you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, how you doing today?" And the response is, "Oh yeah, we're fine." Great. And you keep going. Have you ever been in a situation where someone has said something totally different? Like, you know, "Hey, how you doing?" "Oh, it's been a lousy day. You wouldn't believe it." "Oh, great. Hey, have a good one." Right? It happens. We don't listen. So the goal of this elevator pitch is to make people listen, make them pay attention, break their state, shock them, bring them to attention, make them say, what did he just say? What? He does what? So let's talk a little bit about what you can do with an elevator pitch to break that state, to bring people to attention. When somebody says, "So, what do you do?" How do you respond? That's your elevator pitch. That's you introducing yourself. And so you want to get this down well. You want to be able to respond effectively, concisely, clearly. You want to be able to respond in a way that keeps people's attention. So don't make it long. Like I said, 30 seconds is it. That's about 100 words, depending how quickly you speak. I've known someone who can give me in a minute and a half in 30 seconds just because he says it so quickly. And because it's so unusual, you pay attention. I know other people who can only give a 15-second elevator pitch in 30 seconds. Their pace is slower. They feel more, and that's okay. It's what fits you. Also, this is not your autobiography. This is not your long history. This is not your resume. All right? This is also not your business plan. If someone is truly interested in what you do or who you are, then you can have a longer discussion. This is just the quick version. All right? Keep it that way. So, what is it? It's ideally It's a story. People love stories. For example, I worked with a client once who, when we got together, his initial goal was that he wanted to double his company's revenue without doubling the 12 hours that he was spending in his business. He did not have 24 hours a day to devote to his business. As we worked together over the next few months, we were actually able to double the revenue in his company and do it in a way that actually had him working a little bit less than when we started. We increased his control of his business, increased his revenue, and got him happier with what goes on. A story like that is a great way to introduce what you do. Do you have a particularly happy customer? Do you have a success story that you can share? Share it. This is a great place to do it. Now, your elevator pitch also, if someone asks, what's your name? You might want to include your name as you're introducing yourself, depending on the scenario. You may want to keep a name tag handy so that people don't have to ask your name. It's a little strange having people you don't know walk up and call you by name and then you remember you're wearing a tag. But make it something that if it's going to appeal to someone, they're going to ask you more questions. I like to also look at this as being magnetic. Here's why. If it's magnetic, it's going to pull the right people into you. It's going to attract them. It's going to make them want to know you, want to know more about your company, more about this crazy idea that you've got, whatever it may be. Also, if it's magnetic, it's going to repel people who really don't care, who would never be your customer, who have no commonality with what your company does. If you can accomplish those two things in 30 seconds, think of the time you'll save. If you end up at a networking event and you can drive away from you everyone who doesn't care effectively, but only drive away the ones who don't care, and bring in all the ones that do. Bring them right to you. Suck them into your message and make them say, I want to know more about this lady. I don't know what it is entirely, but there's something. I got to know more. That's the goal of your elevator pitch. Some questions to consider. What do you really do? I mean, really, how do you help people? Not what's your product, not what's the brand of something you sell. How do you help your customers? Like I said, the story is a great way to do this. I hope from the story I shared, you have an idea of some things I do. I make business owners happier. That's my goal. And make them happier by improving their business. Who do you help? If your story can point to your target audience, who is your key market? Who buys your stuff? Make your story point to them. Use them as an example. How do you help them? What experience do you have? And depending on the introduction, you might want to include some more of this. At times, I'll introduce the fact that I am an E-Myth trained business coach. Now, for people who are familiar with E-Myth, that means something. For those who aren't, great, I just shot out some jargon and you may not care. That's why the story and the results are so effective, because it then opens up further discussion so I can tell how I do this, share some of my background and experience. You can do the same thing. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to stop the video and you're going to work at your table to either create or hone your elevator pitch. You're going to spend a few minutes starting from where you are right now and just making it better, tweaking it, improving it, building it, whatever it may be. But after you do that, you're not completely done. You're going to want to practice that. You're going to want to know it. You're going to want to be able to tell the story in a way that you can do it quickly, under 30 seconds, effectively, you cover the key elements, and in a way that seems exciting for people. That's the goal, is you want them to be excited about you and your business. Make sure you practice it. Get comfortable with it. One other thing to consider as you're working on your introduction, one of the key reasons we do this is that at times I've seen, and I know others working with ELP have seen, that people come to our meeting and we ask them to do their introduction. We ask them what they do, and they talk around themselves so much that at the end of 30, 60, sometimes even 90 seconds of rambling, we still have no clue what they do, which makes me think they have no clue what they do. And if I don't believe you know what you do, why am I ever going to ask you to do it for me? First, I won't know why to ask you, but second, if you can't tell me what you do, I'm going to find somebody else who does it. So make sure you're clear. You state specifically what it is you do in a way that is not so jargon-filled that people outside of your industry or your company can understand it. I think that pretty much wraps up what we need to cover here in this video. It's time to break and for you to work with your table leader and the other people at your table to take your elevator pitch to the next level. Now, after you've done that, we invite you to keep coming back. When you come back next time, hopefully next week, you will move forward into the Startup Blueprint Canvas training. We'll start you down the path. We'll explain what that canvas is, how it can help you, the specifics over the course of a few weeks. Now, we know you won't completely finish everything during that time. This is an introduction, and it's meant to help guide you that direction. But keep coming back. Bring your questions. Let's work on them with you. This is a safe place. It's a great place to practice your elevator pitch, where we know we're all learning 1 week at a time. I've tried more elevator pitches than I can remember. Some of them worked well, some of them bombed miserably. But it's nice to try it at Entrepreneur Launchpad, especially as you keep coming back, because people start to know what you do. And they're willing to forgive if you try something that doesn't work the way you thought. But I'll turn you over now to the table leader to take those next steps, and hopefully we'll see you around here some more.